Hi Piccolos, this is a practice guide to Star Wars, the main theme for concert band that was arranged by Donald Huntsberger. If you're looking for the Star Wars original orchestra version, I did do a video practice guide on that, and I will link that video in the description. But this is the band version. All right, measure 62, the G to A flat. Tremolo, which is a trill in this situation, is the first trill key. Some people trill their pinky, but you can get more trill this way. And you could take a breath at that, leave out that C beforehand in 61. So like if I start in measure 59 right here, like that. So you get a really good breath. Okay, now into the hard part. We have this big scale, just a C major scale, but it goes all the way up to high C. I would think of these big scales, first of all, know you're in C major, so you're not like reading notes exactly, you're just playing C major scales. But I would think of it in groupings. So how I would think of this is your first 7-lit, 4 plus 3, and you can practice to re-slur them like that. And then it would be, but you're thinking of it 4 plus 3. And then the next 8-lit, so 4 plus 4, that one's easy. And then the last one, I would think of it, it's 6, so you can think 3 plus 3, but I would think of it 4, D, E, F, G, because that's fairly easy. And then A, B, C goes together at the end. Plus there is a retard, so D, E, F, G, A, B, C at the very end. So I'm gonna play this scale with those groupings, so I'm going to re-slur wherever I'm thinking of the groupings. With those groupings in mind, I would practice going through the scale and stopping somewhere before it gets too hard, and just make sure you're secure with your secure part. So let's just say we're all good until this D right here. Practice in time, but with the groupings in mind, and stop on the D. You can, of course, go slower. And then if that is all good, I would stop on the E. And then stop on the F, etc. And then going up to the G. You should be pretty good until the G. After the G, then of course it gets very difficult because you're dealing with fingerings and also the difficulty of notes speaking on the piccolo in the very tippy top register. Yeah, I shouldn't have stopped, because I would do it one more time, or I want to demonstrate one more time doing the scale and then stopping on the A. Because the A is where the end of where our right hand pinky should stay down. It's down for all these notes, D, E, F, G, A, it's all down. And then B and C are their own little special thing where the pinky is up. So I'm gonna play it one more time, stopping on A, because those are all the notes where our right hand pinky is down. Okay, now for our last two notes, B and C. So like I said, pinky off. For those high notes, and when you've been blowing through a scale like this or through a run, it's very common on the piccolo to like blow through the notes. I mean, you have to blow air through, continually, of course. But you can blow air through on your flute, and that helps make the notes come out sometimes. But on the piccolo, if you do that, you're gonna be a big spitty mess. Your lips will buzz, or like nothing will come out at all. Like the piccolo just refuses to do anything because it's just too much air and it has nowhere to go in this tiny pea shooter. So as you're going up, like the last grouping, yada da 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 da, I just make sure that my very fast airstream stays fast, and that my notes are glued to that airstream. They're not blown out all over the place. At least that's how I think of it. So I don't want like that. I want, so I'm staying a hold of my notes. What that is the resistance of the air. And if you're trying to do the resistance concept, with your air and your lips kind of buzz like that, then you're just doing too much. So you need a little less. Anyway, I would practice it a bunch of times like this with those things in mind that I went over. Also, keeping your fingers very, very close to the keys. If you're struggling with just technique, just the fingerings, I would recommend to practice this a whole bunch on your flute. It'll save your ears. I mean, it's the same fingerings. So do it on your flute until it's more comfortable and then transfer over to the piccolo. I would highly recommend doing a lot of exercises in the high register. I did do a video on my favorite high register exercises that I have used, and I will link that video in the description. Okay, so let's just go on down the rest of the page through some of these other scales, see if there's anything else of note. The next one, B flats, so F major scale here. I would use the B flat thumb, of course. You don't want to ever have to deal with 1 and 1 if you don't have to. That's not too bad. And then you do it again. And then this, so F, E, F, and you have to switch back over to long thumb here. When we get to the G, I would do the trill fingering. So you hit regular high G, and then a real F sharp, and then do the thumb, like that. I wouldn't do the regular fingering. I mean, I guess you could. That's just harder. And then the next scale, even though it's not that hard, still think of it in groupings. Otherwise, you run the risk of getting to the tops too soon or adding in, bonus notes, like some chromatics or something. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3 is standard for a 7-lit, 4 plus 3. And then this set of scales here at 81, again, in your mind, you're in C major. So there's no flats, no chromatics until your B flat at the arrival. The most important is your top note. So if you, at the very least, you can do C, D, E, fake, F, fake. You can just sort of like fake your way after a while. But get the first 3, if nothing else, if you need to. But of course, we want to try to do all the notes. I wouldn't do, for myself personally, 3 plus 3, because then it's yaga da daga da daga da daga. It's not it's yada da 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 da. 1 2 1 2 1 2 is more the phrasing. And then it's a little different there. Anyway, so that's how I would think of it. And then here, 4 plus 3. And then I would just get safely to the G to G, going up, and then A, B flat. Or you could have a kind of like a note you're going for in the middle, like middle D, or not middle D, but that D in the middle as like an anchor note. So you're not just blindly plowing through a bunch of notes. Like before, if you get to that D and that is secure, then go to the E. So you're just gonna drill it, adding 1 note at a time. That's stopping on the D. Now I'm going to stop on E. And then I'll stop on the F. And then I'll stop on G. And then A. For that last B flat, I don't know if this is helpful at all, but I mean, it's not hard to go from high A to high B flat. But if you want, you can just lift your middle finger off and like a fake B flat. Well, it's like the trill fingering, but when you get to the top A, B flat, you don't need the trill fingering down. I just took off my left hand, second finger. So I'm not even thinking about the B flat fingering. So that might be helpful. One other way to practice this section, starting at 81, and use those accents to your advantage. The very ending here, this big scale, which looks like an A flat major scale. It starts on D flat. Of course, don't even worry about that. I knew someone who, when this would be in their music, low D flat, they went around and found some piccolo that had a low C key. Or like, you don't need to worry about that at all. All you do is you don't play it. And if you know it's A flat major, you start on E flat and you're not reading all those notes. There's no time for that. So you should know your scales. Have your thumb on the B flat, and I'm going to start on E flat and play an A flat major scale, landing on E natural, kind of weirdly, but that's how it is. Okay, I think those are all the main points. I hope that was helpful. Please hit subscribe if you haven't already. I have an ongoing playlist of these practice guides for band and orchestra, and they're mostly on piccolo. This particular Star Wars band version was per request, so if anyone has a request that you'd like me to do a practice guide on, I'd be happy to do that. Thanks for watching this video, and happy practicing.